Doctor Who turned 25, they decided not to make a big deal of it and aired this story. That's probably because the ratings sucked and the BBC wanted to get rid of the show. But fans were a bit perplexed as to why this story was aired during the 25th anniversary. And I agree with that sentiment, of course, but we aren't here to empathize with the typical Doctor Who fan in 1988. We're here to watch and talk about this episode. It sounds like the showrunner was a little bit pissed about it too, considering that he tried to make it as special as he could. He tried to get the Queen and all, but at least you put Silver in the title. Okay, right out of the gate, we're going to have to explain who these people are. Because there are bots and they don't like certain words and may flag me because I said them. These guys are really into the bad guys from World War II. And by bad guys, I mean the ones you immediately think of during the war. We're not going to say the word, so every time I say the Goose-steppers, you just think the word you were already thinking. In South America, this Goose-stepper figures out where a comet is going to land and interrupts his boss from killing a parrot. The boss is this Alan Alda-looking German guy that is trying to get the goose-stepping back with these 7 white guys and a silver bow. Meanwhile, every villain in this show hates birds. Maybe this episode is the reason Kate was so concerned about the birds.
Birds will sing again. There will be birds.
This is Lady Peinforte, and I will likely say her name incorrectly most of this review. She's got herself a silver arrow, a manservant, and a slave mathematician, so things are going pretty well for her, but she's looking for the comet too because she's evil. I'm not being a jerk here, she literally says that she's evil later.
And I am evil.
Anyway, good at maths, finishes his calculations, and Lady decides to use his blood as the last ingredient in her Sisterhood of Karn potion full of black magic and time travel. They scream like they're in a horror movie while it happens, though. Back they go to 1988, where nobody in this cafe seems to give much of a Back in 1988, people could not be bothered with your medieval time-traveling ass. Elsewhere, the Doctor and Ace are enjoying some jazz at some party, but the Doctor has some alarm go off that's important, but he can't remember what it's for, so they head out and get shot at. I say shot at, but I'm being generous with this stormtrooper accuracy. Anyway, they get away by jumping into the water, and then the Doctor reveals that he's rebuilt Ace's boombox to do other shit, like reveal the Earth that's in danger due to the statue that he shot into space. So they pop on over to the basement of Windsor Castle to look at the silver bow. They don't find it, but Ace does wear a fez. Pontificate on that in the comments. So they decide to go back to 1638, and the Doctor explains that the statue is made of some Gallifreyan metal and now is going to destroy something, cause that's what it do. The Doctor figures out what Lady Peinforte is up to and also plays some chess. Outside, the statue crashes into Earth and the police show up, so the Dunderheads decide to flee through the window. Since they're scared of the police, they decide that they're gonna wait and, I don't know, figure the police will get bored with it and leave it alone. It's not a good plan. That don't matter though, because somebody planted gas under the ground and gas out the police. All 10 of the Goose-steppers finally show up, acting like silly weekend warriors, and Dum-Dum puts the bow on the meteor, and the bow starts to glow. Meanwhile, the Doctor heads inside the walls of Windsor Castle, sees the Queen, tries to get her to help, but gets stopped by some other proper stodgy Brit. I guess they just let him go because they think he's a nutter, although I do remember another time a nutter broke into Windsor Castle and it didn't go quite as quietly, so the Doctor and Ace show up to where the party is. Goose-stepper Alan Alda is pissed because the arrow isn't with the statue, and the Doctor and Ace come walking up. The Goose-steppers think the Doctor has the arrow, so he threatens to shoot Ace, but the Cybermen show up in their ship, ready to get their hands on this statue. The Goose-steppers just start firing on the Cybermen, which is a bit of a reckless strategy considering it starts an all-out battle. Lady Peinforte gets in on the action by shooting gold-tipped poison arrows at the Cybermen and quoting Shakespeare.
A hit. A very palpable hit.
All hell is breaking loose and the Doctor steals the bow and GTFOs. The Goose-steppers retreat and the Cyber leader figures out Lady Peinforte is here too. Everyone goes their separate ways to regroup, with the Doctor using the bow to guide him to the arrow, the Cybermen just fly around, the Goose-steppers get some gold, and these idiots walk around and almost get mugged. But not so much. The Doctor uses Ace's new boombox to jab the Cybermen's signal using jazz. And seriously, this f***ing shot is priceless. The Cybermen's WTF reactions to hearing the jazz music just makes me giggle every time. Everybody converges on Lady Peinforte's tomb, including Lady Peinforte and her boy toy, who is afraid of llamas and is standing on his own grave. Great, now that's a fixed point in time, and Richard dies here at 51. The Cyber leader thinks that when Lady Peinforte sees her grave, it'll make her cray, so they start advancing. But the Goose-steppers get there first, and Richard is so scared of guns, he gives them both the statue and the arrow. Way to go, Dick! You probably could have ran off with that arrow considering how mesmerized they were here with the statue, but I see that you're more of a lover than a fighter, so the only thing that I'll question is your choice in women. Meanwhile, the Doctor fucks with the Cybermen by surprising Ace with a nice little gift by letting her go blow up the ship. The Cybermen meet up with the Goose-steppers, who make a deal with the Cybermen for half the planet if they help them get their bow and arrow. You can probably already figure out how well this alliance goes.
Once they have the arrow and the statue, destroy them.
Considering Goose-stepper Alan Alda doesn't even check the case at any point until the plot needs him to, I don't know if I would trust him and his attention to detail either, Cyber leader. The Doctor figures out there are thousands of cyber warships orbiting Earth, while Lady Peinforte is a little touched that Richard saved her life, but she knows shit about the Doctor and she's getting that statue. The Cybermen review my reviews.
It is meaningless.
But then the tape stops and the signal can go out to the fleet. The Doctor shows up and plays keep away with the Cyber leader with the bow, and I need you to watch this scene because it is f***ing fantastic.
I don't believe you've met my friend Ace. Cyber leader moves pawn to discover check.
Ace replies by neatly castling with the bow.
Give me the bow.
Doctor en passant behind cyber leader.
Give me the bow.
Doctor supports combination gambit.
Take the bow from him.
Middle game development with Cybermen.
Kill him.
End game. Illegal move, but checkmate.
That is gold. Nobody moves, everyone is stupid, and the Doctor wakes up the statue. Ace and the Doctor off, and Goose-stepper Alan uses his gold dust on the Cyber leader. The Doctor goes back to 1638 to play more chess and avoid questions, while Team Peinforte gets a ride from an American stereotype. The Doctor shows up for some reason at an airplane hangar where the comet is. Look, I don't know how the comet got in this hangar. It isn't explained, and yes, I noticed, but sometimes, man, you just gotta say f*** it with this show. They probably only had the budget left for a hangar and just figured we wouldn't notice, but I did, and who cares? The statue shows up and the Doctor gives her the bow. Ace and the Nemesis statue have a chat, but I guess Ace gets bored while talking to the ancient living metal designed to protect Gallifreyan and wants to murder everything. The Cybermen show up and Ace kills a few, while the Doctor configures the coordinates of where he's going to send this thing. Ace gets cornered by the Cyber leader and some other goons, but she shoots the Cyber leader with her last gold coin, and the other goons shoot each other on accident. The statue says some cryptic stuff to the Doctor, but he pretty much treats her like Ace climbs down, gets caught, but the Doctor melts her captors with the rocket engines. Cyber leader gets up because some stupid gold isn't gonna hurt this badass, and he shoots Goose-stepper Alan Alda. Lady Peinforte comes in, spouting about her knowledge about the Doctor and his past because the statue is a gossip, I guess. Snitches get stitches statue. But the Doctor didn't give much of a shit about any of that anyway, so he gives the statue to the Cyber Leader. The Cyber Leader tells the Doctor to cancel all of the destruction that he was planning with the statue and just send that on up to his boys. Peinforte freaks right the out and jumps into the meteor with the statue and gets absorbed by it. Then it flies off and blows up all the cyber warships. Yeah, Cyber Leader, trusting the Doctor on this one is pretty unforgivable. Richard grabs the gold arrow that was stuck in the TARDIS and kills the Cyber Leader. The Doctor and Ace take Richard back to his time to live out his days until he's, I guess, 51 and dies and is buried on Lady Peinforte's estate, and him and his friend play some music for the Doctor and Ace. The end. You have to admit, at least this one was interesting. What about the things that I liked? I like the pacing of this story. There's obviously a lot of comparisons to Remembrance of the Daleks, what with the other Gallifreyan artifact that the Doctor probably created, a bunch of different factions trying to get it, and the Doctor manipulating everyone to get his desired results, and the supposed destruction of a major recurring villain, but if anything, this one felt tighter. I completely think it benefited from only being 3 episodes long. I'm certainly not saying this episode is better than Remembrance, but the part I liked about it was that it got to the point quicker. Plus, there's some really out there shit going on in this story for me to be able to distinguish it from Remembrance. There wasn't a moment during these 3 episodes where I felt like I was bored or felt like they were padding time too much. Plus, the feeling I got was, in some ways, this episode did things better than Remembrance. The action was pretty good, the effects only feel a little dated for the time. I mean, the glowing statue kind of works and looks cool, and the humor sort of lands, intentionally or not. It's nowhere near as meaty a story as Remembrance is, but that's typical when you put a Dalek story up against a Cybermen story, but I think the pace really helped it. I liked how dumb everything was. Seriously, the setup is nonsense. Some sentient defense metal falls from Gallifrey, ends up on Earth. This crazy bitch makes a statue of herself out of it. She fought some Cybermen and the Doctor for it. The Doctor launches it into space and it comes close to Earth every 25 years until it crashes into the ground. The crazy bitch time travels with a hired goon. Goose-steppers just all of a sudden want it too. The Doctor shows up to Windsor Castle for no other reason other than to try and get military involved in helping him when he full well knows he should have gone to UNIT instead of bothering the Queen. Everybody is fighting over this thing and it can talk. I mean, the whole story is f***ing goofy. But that's the magic that this show sometimes has. The ability to take a whole bunch of different shit and throw it up against the wall, mash it all together into mild coherence, and come out the other end with an entertaining hour-and-a-half story. Guys, at one point, this guy is scared of a llama, and their graveyard is being shown to be part of a safari park. This episode is goofy as hell. And yeah, I imagine that if I had been watching as a fan at the time, I would have probably been disappointed in this too, considering that everyone is trained to expect a multi-Doctor story every anniversary, but I agree with McCoy on this. This story isn't that bad and probably would be looked upon more favorably if it hadn't aired during the anniversary. Look, I don't normally feel conflicted about my opinions on Doctor Who episodes. Normally my opinions tend to be pretty straightforward, but it happens sometimes. And when it does, we add a slot for it called... Damn it. I am torn about Lady Peinforte. Look, I don't like her. She barks everything she says in iambic pentameter, and she plays the character like she's Cruella de Vil trying to make a code out of beryllium. Every time she spoke or barked some evil thing, I was fully annoyed. Plus, I didn't like it that you didn't give me very much cause to worry about this woman. I suppose people seeing this for the first time and her spewing about knowing the Doctor's past would have been tantalizing in the same way that Moffat or Chibnall did it, but she wasn't at all interesting as a character. But I also don't think that this episode is anywhere near as funny as it is without her. Both her and her guy pal's fish out of water experience is fucking hilarious to watch. Him getting freaked out by llamas and her smashing chairs through windows to get away from the police is just so damn entertaining. Would I have enjoyed her screeching like a banshee to jump into the meteor and meld with the statue at the end if she hadn't acted like a mega bitch throughout the story? Probably not. But when she acts like she has a 5-foot pole up her ass the entire episode with only one maniacal motivation, well, this shit works then. Cue up Natalie. Things I didn't like. I didn't like the old Goose-stepper. This sucked. He's boring. He acts like he doesn't even know what show he's on. I'll give him a break there. Turns out he didn't. But still, he knows he's playing an old German Goose-stepper. They aren't typically very laid back. I felt like he was trying to portray this old guy like some super suave dude, but he came off as a super bored dude. Now, I'm not one to usually pick on actors. They make their choices and I critique narrative decisions because that seems fair. Actors have a tough job because most of the time they have to work within the material. The really good ones elevate it, but most are kind of stuck in it and take the role because they need the money. But if you're just gonna show up, blandly say some lines and grab a paycheck, brother, we're gonna notice and I gotta say something. Because it really would have been nice if we would have got some effort out of you, considering the names they thought about for this role, like Donald Pleasance, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and Michael Gough. Michael Gough could have been in this role. The fucking toy maker and Alfred. But no, we got you, and you didn't even give a shit. The cyber leader is so dumb. I mean, please don't get me wrong. I would be happy if they brought him back. I really enjoyed his extreme overconfidence and fist clenching at every single thing he says. Personally, if they aren't gonna go with the full body horror aspect of the Cybermen, then I think they gotta go with the cyber leader and his overconfident military prowess. But man, what were you trying to accomplish here? What was the plan? Show up and just take everything you want. Sure, I get it. You're Cybermen, and typically that would work. But it is stated in this story that this battle happened back in the 1600s, and the Doctor foiled you then by taking the metal and shooting it into space. So I'm not really quite sure how the arrow and the bow stayed around, but that's beside the point. You guys full well know the Doctor is going to be here, and your only plan to stop him is two random dudes fist clenching and just showing up places, expecting everything to turn out right. Your underling very rightly points out that it may not be the best idea to transmit false information to the fleet, and you're just like, nah, bitch, we got this. Brother, you have never got this. Your success percentage is worse than a Dalek's. You have a full fleet of ships and Cybermen floating around in space, close enough to send more transports to Earth and overwhelm any government that stands against you. But 20 or so on a recon mission will totally do for humans that trade in the one alloy that weakens and kills you on the f***ing stock exchange. If this f***ing statue can make you the destroyer of worlds and means so much to you, maybe do a little research on the planet the thing is on and send the appropriate amount of soldiers to the planet to extract it. Not a group that could easily be taken over by a prospector from the 1800s or two morons with access to gold in the 1600s. And figure out how to incapacitate the Doctor before you show up to a planet just expecting him to bow down to your magnificence, considering he's never done that before and always defeats you. Look, I like you guys. I just want you to look like more of a threat than the stupid Zygons. You're number 2 in Doctor Who villainy. I would just like for you to act like it sometimes. But please, bring back the cyber leader. Things I didn't understand.
What?
I don't understand why the Cybermen had such a weak plan. Now, I'm not talking about the cyber leader being wrong about every decision that he makes. I'm talking about the piss-poor job you did of keeping the Doctor away from this moment in time. Because it's implied that the battle for this statue happened in the 1600s when the Doctor launched this thing into orbit and involved Lady Peinforte, the Doctor, and these very Cybermen. How is it then that the only defense you have prior to your arrival is these two morons with terrible aim? Literally, they do nothing. I think after all the times you Cybermen have used unconverted humans to do your bidding, it has never really worked out very well. Cyber leader, call me. I I feel like we can up your game, or at the very least, elevate your episodes so you're not so stupid.
Nitpick Corner!
My guy, you are not very careful with that bow. You say you're gonna bring back all the glory of the goose-stepping, and you are aware that when the metal statue comes back to Earth, you're gonna need that bow for this to work. But as important as this bow thing is, you seem really cavalier about making sure it stays with you. Because at the start of this thing, you have it just in the glass case and your butler just lifts up without any alarms or security, and then you guys just set it on top of the meteor and pay zero attention to it while the doctor casually runs up and steals it. Guys, keep your eyes on the damn thing that you need to make sure you have when it's time to reach your goose-stepping goals. What the hell are you doing?
Lady Peinforte. But at the Flores, we've seen a woman in 17th century dress today, firing arrows at us and at men of silver.
Shut up.
Okay. I know I gave you some shit before, but this genuinely made me laugh. Your indifference at least paid off once in this episode. Look, not every story is a winner, and this is one that isn't very fondly remembered. This one had a lot working against it, being aired during the 25th anniversary and all the hype. The fact that nearly everyone you asked to appear for a cameo said no, including Prince Charles, who at the time probably could have used some better publicity, but this first-time writer of the show that said he had the perfect story but in reality didn't have anything, and the fact that a lot of the same things were done during Remembrance of the Daleks. But funny things happen to Doctor Who scripts like this. I don't know if it's just some kind of magic that the show has sometimes or what, but they were able to pull this off as an entertaining story that didn't drag very much, even though most of it, especially when you describe it out loud, is dumb as hell. I give the Silver Nemesis a 5. This is one of those stories that had no right to be entertaining, but because Doctor Who is a magical show, it somehow got a little bit of that magic on it and just made the most of it. And just like that, we're nearly to the finale of the 25th season of Doctor Who. That means we're about to embark on the real reason I chose to keep going with this season, the greatest show in the galaxy. And I am very excited to rewatch this. Like I mentioned before, most classic episodes I've only ever watched once or twice, and many, many years ago. And I've done things to my body that have caused memory loss since then, so I'm very excited to see this again. I've linked it in the description, so go check it out and get ready for next time. And as always, I don't suppose you've completely ignored my instructions and secretly prepared any salty ham, have you?
Cyber leader, where's the bow? Cyber leader, drop it in the show. Cyber leader, gold is mad. Cyber leader, battle plans are sad.
New from Gallifreyan Playthings, it's Cyber Leader, the figure with all the wrong ideas and none of the follow-through. Cyber Leader comes with 2 incompetent henchmen who miss every shot, a shiny bow you'll immediately lose, and his terrible plans that never work.
Cyber leader, two-step through. Cyber leader, Alan Alda 2. Cyber leader, Lady Witch. Cyber leader, statue is a snitch.
Warning, Cyber Leader may malfunction when exposed to jazz. Do not question Cyber Leader. Do not let Cyber Leader near Windsor Castle. Do not expect Cyber Leader to actually win, ever. Cyber Leader, keeping the Cybermen irrelevant since 1988.